And the winner of the Kyle Busch sweepstakes is Richard Childress Racing. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. By the way, let me know down in the comments section below, because now that Kyle Busch is out from under the thumb of Joe Gibbs, he can run the Indy 500. What team should Kyle drive in the Indy 500 for? We'll be talking about that later in this video, but it's hard to believe that this is the result, especially after what we know about the relationship between Richard Childress and Kyle Busch.
Hard race for position in the closing laps between Kyle Busch and Joey Coulter driving a Richard Childress Motorsports truck. After the checkered flag, reportedly some contact, and after that, reportedly a physical altercation between Childress and Kyle Busch in the garage area.
This Childress-Busch drama goes way back. There was a time a few years back when they were wrecking a lot of cars unnecessarily, and at that point, Childress told Busch personally, look, let's calm this down. If we continue tearing up these cars, I'm going to take care of it myself. And it seems he lived up to his word today, and from what sources tell me after the race, he took off his wristwatch, walked up to Busch, got him in the headlock, and went to beating on him.
Yes, indeedy do. Cats and dogs are sleeping together for sure. So in this video, we will be talking about this dramatic move and the ripple effects it will have across NASCAR. Plus, talk about Richard Childress's comparison of Kyle Busch to the GOAT himself, Dale Earnhardt. And like I said, Kyle Busch can do the Indy 500 now, so we are going to talk about his options. But first, if you have not subscribed yet, maybe when you were down there asking or letting me know who you want to see Kyle Busch drive for in the Indy 500, you ought to hit the subscribe button too, because we are all about motorsports on here. The last 2 weekends I was at the U.S. Nationals, and then I traveled to California for Laguna Seca, the IndyCar finale. We'll be talking about NASCAR obviously quite a bit this week, and a lot more things. I've filmed a whole bunch of content that's still to be uploaded. So if you like racing, you are in the right place. We were all over this Kyle Busch thing. We were all over the Alex Palou thing. And I guess the Colton Herta thing is the next big talking point that we're going to have to be talking about over the next few weeks. So if you like auto racing, you're in the right place. So today, Richard Childress Racing announced that Kyle Busch will be driving the number 8 Chevrolet in 2023. Now you may be saying, wait a second. What about Tyler Reddick? Richard Childress informed Tyler Reddick only an hour before he told the rest of us that he, meaning Tyler Reddick, would no longer be in the 8 car for 2023, though RCR currently plans to retain Reddick for the 2023 season. You may also notice that the car is blank for Kyle Busch. No primary sponsor was announced. Remember, Kyle Busch is one of the highest paid drivers in NASCAR, and that was one of the reasons stated that Kyle Busch would not return to Joe Gibbs. It was that big $14 million salary. Now it's expected that the 18 car will be filled by Ty Gibbs. That's no surprise whatsoever. That was the obvious answer to any of this for the longest time, especially as soon as M&Ms left. Kyle Busch, and that's what's weird about this, is that it seems as though Joe Gibbs Racing has not exactly wanted to keep Kyle Busch, which I think is very interesting. And this is according to Kyle Busch himself, that Joe Gibbs Racing made it clear to him that his services would no longer be required for driving duty. So there was a point where Joe Gibbs was like, hey, we don't have anything for you. Very, very fascinating. And certainly, you know, when you saw that clip about a month ago now at Pocono of Kyle Busch and Joe Gibbs having quite a frosty relationship, that seems to make a little bit more sense after so much that Kyle Busch has done for Joe Gibbs Racing. Now, one driver whose immediate future has been made unclear, like I said, is Tyler Reddick, who loses out on that chartered number 8 car. And the question about whether he will stay at RCR for 2023 would seem to hinge on whether Kyle's brother Kurt Busch will be medically cleared to race after the concussion he suffered in Pocono. If not, logically, it would make sense that Tyler Reddick would move over to 2311 Racing a year early, fill the 45 car and race alongside Bubba Wallace in 2023. Of course, as we know, he's already signed for 2024, and it was not a good breakup, or it is not currently a good breakup with Richard Childress Racing. Richard Childress Racing said something to the effect of, the timing couldn't have been worse. It couldn't have been that bad, though, because they ultimately got Kyle Busch out of it, right? Right? I would assume. It appears that Kyle Busch got just about everything he wanted out of this deal as well. RCR has signed his 7-year-old son, Brexton, to a driver development deal. That was very important to Kyle, as he wants to retire when Brexton starts his professional driving career in the NASCAR Truck Series. And speaking of trucks, it appears that Kyle Busch Motorsports will be headed to Chevy for next year, though it hasn't exactly been stated how that is going to be done. Will Richard Childress Racing be expanding to the Truck Series? Will Kyle take over the Colleague effort that seems to be headed in the direction of being on the grid for next year's Truck Series? We'll have to see. But Richard Childress appears committed to Kyle for the future, and that, of course, is the number one thing Kyle, I think, really wanted out of this deal. And Richard Childress went as far as to invoke Dale. And this is what Richard Childress said. When I looked him in the eye, and I had seen that look from Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s eye, he's hungry, and we are going to win. Richard Childress compared Kyle Busch to Dale Earnhardt Sr. Get stick bugged, all of you Kyle Busch haters who said, oh, you can't compare him to Dale. Well, one of Dale's best friends just compared him to Dale, so I don't know. And that's the thing, right? You know, Kyle Busch is a polarizing figure in NASCAR. And believe it or not, you know, if you're too young to remember the BD, the before Dale era of NASCAR, you would have no idea that, yeah, Dale Earnhardt got mixed receptions at best. That Bristol race that everybody puts him on a pedestal for now, Bristol booed him for wrecking Terry Labonte. Like, we always just forget these sort of things. So, yeah, Kyle Busch gets his fair share of boos. But Kyle being Kyle is one of the reasons he's one of the most popular and one of the most marketable and one of the most money-making drivers out there. There is a reason for that. And we're just about to find out how good those RCR cars aren't they? Because I think Tyler Reddick has shown they are capable of winning races that are other than plate races. And I have to think that Kyle Busch is going to be a championship contender in those cars. But like I said, since Joe Gibbs is out of the way, I got to talk about this. He's out of the way. Kyle Busch can drive for any Chevy team he wants in the Indy 500, and made that very clear in the press conference today. And even better for those of us who want to see Kyle Busch in the Indianapolis 500 is that Richard Childress himself has always really had a flirtation with the Indianapolis 500. He was heavily involved in a few Robbie Gordon Indy 500 attempts, most notably in 2001 and 2002, and he never stood in the way of Robbie going over and driving the Indianapolis 500 when he wanted to. So, looking at that, I would say that if Kyle Busch wants to do it, it's almost certain that it will happen. There will be a sponsor that will step up to do it, and there will be a team that wants him. And for the Indy 500, this would be absolutely enormous for the race. Now, I do think IndyCar has a bit of an identity crisis at the moment. There's no doubt about it. And I think that all of us, chasing the Fernando Alonso high for as long as we have, we've kind of put a lot of focus on drivers from outside of IndyCar coming to race in IndyCar. So I understand that I am part of the problem when I'm getting hyped for Kyle Busch potentially doing the Indy 500. But you can't ignore that this would be absolutely massive. I think it would have a significant impact on the TV rating. And I would hope that Kyle Busch doing the Indy 500 would generate a tremendous amount of press across the world. And I also think that Kyle Busch would bring an X factor to the Indianapolis 500 because I think he would be competitive. And I don't think he's going to settle for a bad team, and I don't think bad teams are going to be the ones that will be making offers to him. in the Chevrolet camp, there's really two realistic options that I can see for Kyle Busch should he choose to race in the Indianapolis 500 next year. Those would be Team Penske and Arrow McLaren SP. Now, Kyle Busch is on the record saying that one of his offers in the past to run the Indianapolis 500 has been with Team Penske. Now, the only concern I would have if I'm Kyle Busch and I'm thinking about potentially going with Team Penske is that they have been competitive everywhere in IndyCar except for the Indy 500 over the last couple of years. So the question would be, number one, is Roger willing to run a fourth car? I think if there's a will, there's a way for Roger and Team Penske. They should do it because obviously Penske runs the series, Penske runs the track, Penske runs the Indy 500, and Kyle Busch would be mucho dinero in RP's pocket. There's also the sports car program, which will have a full crew, both on the IMSA side and the World Endurance Championship side. And at least from the IMSA perspective, IMSA doesn't run a whole lot in the month of May. So a crew could be put together for Kyle Busch to run with Team Penske. I think the better option, especially if Kyle Busch wants to be competitive, would be with Arrow McLaren SP. Now, Zach Brown has already admitted that he would like to do, or at least the option is on the table, to do a fourth car at the Indianapolis 500 for next year. And traditionally, I've nicknamed him Hollywood Brown for a reason. Traditionally, he goes after drivers that have the ability to generate big headlines. I think we know and understand this now. Even if they don't generate big headlines, when Zach Brown signs them, they begin to generate big headlines. Hello, Alex Palou. But looking at a potential three-car team next year, full-time, whether it's Rosenquist or whether it's Palou in the seat, you've got Rossi and O'Ward for sure locked in there. I think Kyle Busch would only add to that team if he joined up, and it's not just another seat for Juan Pablo Montoya. And looking at how competitive McLaren was last year, having two cars legitimately in the fight at the end of the race, though neither of them won the race, I would think if I'm Kyle Busch and I want a legitimate shot at winning the Indianapolis 500 in my first attempt, I would look at Arrow McLaren SP, and I think Arrow McLaren SP would be receptive to a Kyle Busch Indy 500 because he's exactly the type of driver that they like to sign. Well, that was exciting, and it will continue to be exciting. We're on Busch Watch for 2023. Ooh, that sounds a bit crass, doesn't it? Oh well, it's Busch Watch 2023 for the Indy 500, and of course, we'll be looking forward to him racing for Childress in the NASCAR series. Thank you guys so much for watching, and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next video.